is humanity ascending?
What I get really excited about is that KRYON has given us information. We actually have 24 chromosome pairs within our body. The 24th pair is our interstellar pair from the stars, and it is taking us to that ascension pathway.
KRYON invites us to study mastery. You're going to be tested. Now, I'm realizing that this particular message goes almost everywhere. It would be for those who are honestly in trouble, or those who are expecting war, or those who are expecting economy problems. It goes everywhere on the planet, this message. And you see, the message is,
are you ready to shine? Shine bright. Woohoo! Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel. Higher self, higher team, and all angels, guides, and light workers, here for our highest good and the highest good of all. Please help me to help Monika and Lee today. Please help us to help all of humanity today. Please help us to help shift consciousness today for our highest good, for the highest good of all, or something even better. Woohoo! Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered if humanity's ascending and how to shift your energy during these interesting times, then do we have the Monika Muranyi? Monika, I'm struggling with your last name. Can you please say it for me one more time?
You can call me the Muranyi.
yeah.
Oh my God. Then do we have the Monika Muranyi? I can't do it. I can't do it. KRYON, what the shift is going on?
You did wonderful.
No, just say Monika and Lee.
Yeah.
Do we have the Monika and Lee Higher Power KRYON show for you? So welcome back to the show, Monika, Lee, and KRYON. Are you ready to shine?
That was the best introduction we've ever had. We've done this a long time, and we've been waiting for this kind of a woohoo thing.
Woohoo! So I want to start with a proper question. I do want to start with asking KRYON what the shift is going on, but is humanity ascending?
Yeah, it is ascending, definitely ascending. In fact, KRYON always says you're actually, light is winning, but you can't see it because it's being covered by everybody else who does not want it to win. And that is the point, is that we are being barraged right now with fearful energy, with fearful information, with things to make us crawl back in our shells. And this was predicted. This is not a surprise. I've been talking about that for a long time. KRYON's been channeling it for years. Here it comes. Here it is. And everybody's acting like it's like an absolute surprise. It isn't a surprise.
And can I share something personally?
Please.
So this morning, I was feeling that all the work that we're doing doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It's falling on deaf ears. People aren't listening. Why am I seeing all these things around me? And I got mad, if I could just be frank and honest. And
you can be Monika as well as frank.
And I was really saying to KRYON, like, KRYON, what's going on? Like, do something. Why are you're going to do something or I quit? I was really mad. And the answer I got back was just how much loved we are. And it doesn't matter how angry I can get or how upset or disappointed or frustrated. All I got was this massive hug that it's going to be okay. And as soon as you start breathing into the core, you find that place of peace and knowingness. It's okay to hear one thing, that crying is going to be okay, but there's that knowingness that comes in that everything's going to be okay. And really all we're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. underneath the water, you have 90% of that iceberg that's hidden. We can't see it yet. And that's why we're sometimes a little bit freaking out. I'm the freaking out part of the relationship. Lee is always cool, calm, collected, centered, a master that I admire, but I'm the one that freaks out and panics. So if you're
and now's a good time to do that. It's okay.
So if you're out there right now freaking out and panicking, know that you're not alone in the freaking out and panicking part, but know that you're not alone. There is an entire angelic realm just poised, holding you, guiding you through your personal life quakes that are happening. You know, life quake, it's like an earthquake, something massive happens in your life and it breaks apart. Even in those life quake moments, we are so taken care of, so loved. Lean into that support, because the ascension of humanity, it's an inside job. It's an inside job.
I can go further here because it helps people, in my opinion, to, if they knew the reasoning for it, if they knew that it was predicted, if they knew the timing of it, and they could see, oh, now I understand. So I won't freak out to think that everything that's happening on the world now is a surprise. We're going to hell in a handbasket, as my mom used to say, and all of these things. So let me just review very, very briefly one of the things that I teach, and one of the things that has even come about. I think you've had Greg Braden on your show.
Yeah, recently as well.
Are good. Well, if you want to go back in time a little bit, he had a book called Fractal Time. Now, this is maybe 20 years ago, I forget, where in this book, he actually presented the reasoning behind the physics behind the idea that history repeats itself. And it was very telling, because this is when Cryon was starting to talk about the very same thing. There is a low consciousness on the planet, and there was at that time, that we're recovering from, that kept us in a circle. And it was a book that was right on schedule, because it showed that low consciousness cannot break out of the circle. It was physically impossible. We'd reached a point where it simply repeats itself. And history does. And you can see war after war after war. And we expect it. All our movies expect it. We're talking about it. And so this was I would say, the point at which everything started. What Cryon said is this shift will take us out of the circle and put us on a siding that is going somewhere. So it'll be the first time that we have broken out of the circle. Now that means basically our reality changes. And the reality was going to be, you can call it dimensional or whatever you want to, but it puts us in a place we've never been before. So instead of that circle that feels good and we expect it, no matter what happens, we'll get over it, suddenly we have things that are real new and we don't expect them, and they are worrisome, and everybody's pulling back, and all of these things that are going on worldwide. We've never seen this before. And part of that, of course, makes us fearful. So we're on a new track. And this, I like to tell people, this is the explanation of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. Now, since you know that this has been actually targeted, planned, you might say, and we've talked about it for years, and now here it is, it ought to make you a little more comfortable that we've always expected it, we've always had answers, and truly what we say is you can back off if you wish to, but you don't have to fear this. You don't have to wring your hands and be anxious about everything. We are going to a place where it's going to be solved, and it's going to be much better. We have to go through this before we get there. One of Cryon's sayings, and I think I was telling you, Michael, beforehand, is iron sharpens iron. And that is to say that if we believe what we're talking about now, we really believe it, this is the litmus test of the belief. Cryon invites us to study mastery. When you see something that would make your a gut feeling, a fear, and whatever, we have the option not to react. Are you going to react, or are you going to observe? It's very tough for people to observe only. It's almost like a wisdom factor that is now being tested. Any light worker who is watching this, who is interested in how you can take the divinity that you already have to create peace in your heart and all of these things that we teach, this is the time. And that is why we've taught it so strongly for so long. Practice it, understand it. You're going to be tested. There are going to be fearful things. Now, the things that are happening now, people are then projecting them to the next level. Well, if this is the way it is now, what's going to happen later? We're all doomed. And then we have something else. And I don't know if you were ready for this, Michael, on the show, but here is something that I have seen. I'm seeing it so clearly now because I'm a senior and I've seen it before. It's actually comical. What I am seeing is the same doom and gloom prophecies that I saw 30 years ago returning. It's almost like they polished them up and here they are again. And they are coming at us in ways that weren't possible 30 years ago. They're coming on Facebook and all of the other things that you're seeing them and hearing them. They're absolutely fake and they're fraud and they are scaring, everybody. And one of those things is the earth is doomed. California's going to fall off the ocean. We have Yellowstone set to explode. And I want you to go back and I want you, anybody who wants to see this in spades 30 years ago, I want you to go and take a look at the Gordon Michael Scallion map, which he made in 2002, which talked all about 2012. It's the same information. Only then it was going to be a pole shift, which was not imminent and didn't happen. Today it's Yellowstone, which is not imminent and is not going to happen. Go to the source. Go to the geological places where they talk about the fact that Yellowstone is quiet. It's not what you think. So there is a concentrated effort with the same doom and gloom that was on that old track. It stayed there. So it's going to be then raising its head and it's going to be pushing the buttons and going to say, we're all doomed. Nothing's going to happen. Here comes the economic breakdown that, by the way, has been year after year after year has been given dates. There's a whole bunch of people out there that want to get attention. Some of them are making money from it. Some of them are even channeling it. So this is my disappointment right now that nobody is catching this, that it's the returning doom. Maybe you're not old enough to remember it. I am. Here it comes again. It's almost like the circus is coming to town again. Be afraid.
So the last question I have before we channel Cryon, and it's interesting. This is like watching, to me, a terrible movie. And you're in your seat, you're trying to run for the exit, and you hear a voice saying, wait for it. Wait for it, because if you wait long enough, all of a sudden it's going to swing back around so that you get a good next chapter. I won't call it last chapter here, but you get a good next chapter. But you have to glue yourself to your seat and hang in there. But you said you've been channeling this since, I think it might have been 89, might have been before that. Cryon's talking about end times, but it's not end times Armageddon. It's about humanity has chosen to stop going through the circle anymore. I'm very curious who these beings were that were here, that were creating this circle, but now we are blasting past the circle. Is there evidence that we have chosen as humanity not to continue this circle because we're going, oh my God, World War II, authoritarianism, Hitler, blah, blah, blah. Is there any evidence that we have actually chosen to go to that place of love this time around?
Yes, sir. And we've talked about it on the show before, and this is not something you're going to see on the media, ever, and not yet, because they want to give you the worst of the worst. You take a look at some of the subtleties. Now, we just lost a great man in the Pope. And what he did, no Pope had ever done before, because it was time. And he arrived in this shift, and when he did, the first thing he did was the unthinkable. If you asked my grandfather if we'd ever have the church admit to what was going on regarding the abuse of children, suddenly the Pope did. And he said, we're going to change it. All of the kinds of things that were inappropriate with that which we've known with the church, he was on it. And he was the guy for the times. This is new. This is a new consciousness. And it's sitting right in some of the oldest institutions we've ever seen. That's just one. When the war broke out between Ukraine and Russia, It was Putin's idea, and we know it, and we studied it, and I've read it, that everything would snap back to Cold War alliances, and you'd have the countries divide up. He'd be in his Cold War again, the thing that old energy put him in, that he was really rocking, and he understood Cold War. So here was his attempt to put that on again. No country agreed. There were a couple who abstained, but you know, when Switzerland takes sides, you know there has been a consciousness shift on the planet. In other words, humanity said no. We're not going to go and snap back into the alliances. We're not going to go into Cold War. I mean, even Germany, at great cost, had to shut off their gas. They're not going to buy gas from them anymore. It cost them a lot of money. It affected their economy, and they said, "Yeah, we're not going to go with you." This isn't subtle, but how many have you seen this analysis on the news or on the media? And the answer is nobody. They're picking it up. Sociologists are picking it up. But we have a humanity that wants peace. So don't be tricked into fearing and going backwards into all these things. There are so many other things that we're looking at. We're cleaning up our act. And the last one I'll talk about, and I've talked about it before, when you have, again, I asked my granddad if this would ever change. Is there a time when men would not take advantage of women and put them in a place that was inappropriate in order to get ahead? And my grandfather said, this has been the way it's been forever. This is the way of it. And suddenly it isn't. You have movie stars, you have executives, you have rich guys, whatever, starting to be called on what they have done and put in jail for what they have done, which is the kinds of things that seemed to be like, okay, even 15, 20 years ago. That is a major shift. People are starting to care more. There's more integrity now. There's more kindness now. So again, don't be feared into thinking all of that's not true. Maybe you need somebody like me to point it out, but it's there for you to see.
Monika, does that make you feel any better?
I always feel better every time I have KRYON'S information, listening to Lee. And it's simply a reminder that, hey, we're here having a human experience. And if you have those feelings, if you feel down or you feel upset or angry, it's not about negating those feelings. Just allow them to be there. And Lee mentioned it just a moment ago. Observe and don't react. So I think that's really how, if we can just observe, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and then release it. Don't react to it. And one of the other things that came up to me when Lee was talking about, are there signs that, yes, we have definitely decided we're on the ascension path, I started to think of an analogy of the human body, where when you start, if you have a human body that's been very unwell and sick and hasn't been taken care of, and then you start doing things to the human body, such as having supplements, good nutrition, slow and gentle exercises, those things will start to change the body, but it's not immediate, is it?
Actually, you could get a detox first. And so you think you're going the wrong direction.
Exactly. So when you're in that detox, you think this is the worst thing ever and I'm on the wrong path, don't you? Because everything is reacting, it's detoxing, it feels the worst you could possibly feel. Even just a very simple thing, if you've been addicted to coffee, we love coffee, but if you decide you're going to stop and you get these migraines, it's a result of a change. So think of, that's just one little subtle nuance of the body. So think of what we're going through as a collective species. Doesn't that put it in a different perspective, that collectively humanity is going through a massive, massive detox right now?
Detox and migraine.
But you know that when you come out the other side of it, it's going to be a brand new body, a brand new paradigm that you've never had before.
Thank you. I'm not going to ask anything else till we get cryo on. All right. How do we do this?
I can just take off my glasses and begin to channel Cryon.
Sounds good.
That's good. I take off my glasses because there have been times when I'm channeling when Cryon will get excited and flip my glasses off into the audience and when we're doing live things. So I began taking my glasses off years ago, and that's why you see me channeling with no glasses. That means I can't see you.
I have a string holding my glasses on.
Oh, you have the same problem.
Exactly.
Your glasses are always very colorful.
Yeah. For me, I would just give a suggestion to everyone tuning in to use this time now for yourself. Make yourself comfortable wherever you are right now. Allow yourself to be really comfortable and supported. Remove yourself from any distractions so that the message from Cryon can really touch you in an intimate way. For me, I like to close my eyes and focus on my heart space. If you feel compelled to do that too, that's what I invite you to do. And then Cryon will come through with a beautiful message for us.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. How many of you are in fear at the moment of any kind? Or you have an anxiety of any kind? Now, I'm realizing that this particular message goes almost everywhere. It's not just for the culture of my partner. It would be for those who are honestly in trouble, or those who are expecting war, or those who are expecting economy problems. It goes everywhere on the planet, this message. And you see, the message is that it was expected. This is what I have been giving you for some time. It doesn't help, perhaps, for you to know that just because it was expected, it doesn't hurt now. It does. And it still is fearful. But I want you to understand, dear ones, first of all of you are known by God. All of you are magnificent. The creator of the universe knows your soul. That particular soul of yours, peaceful, beautiful, spectacular, is not one that will ever be judged. It's another perception for some of you of perhaps how the Creator might work. I represent an angelic energy who loves. That's all that I do. And in that love, I wish I could show and tell you just how much each of you are loved. People like to humanize God, and they say, well, God then feels this way, or is pleased or displeased, or perhaps God is going to judge me poorly when I get to the other side of the veil. And I would like to tell you that all of these things are mythology. They're humans making up stories for humans, placing humanity in the same place God is, and imposing the human consciousness on the creator of the universe. Did you ever think about that? What if there was no judgment? What if there was nothing like you were told? Instead, there's only love, just love. In that, you have an immense power by yourself, just watching, just sitting there watching right now. There is a bubble of energy that you could put around you where nothing that is happening will get to you. There's an old story that I've given about the tar pit years and years ago, where everyone who's in the tar pit expects to become dirty. And it's not the way it is, dear ones. Just because you're with those slinging tar doesn't mean you'll have tar on you. But you expect it to be on you, and therefore it is. And therefore suddenly you're dirty, and suddenly you're afraid. What I'm telling you is that the low energy on this planet has an agenda, and you are sitting within it. Understand that these things are literally being pressed upon you. That happens not as a conspiracy. It happens as habit. And that is, there are a lot more still in old energy than are going to the light. But because light always is greater than darkness and erases darkness when the light is turned on, it will win. In fact, it is winning. But it does not seem like it right now to you. So much of what you're going through is your perception of who you are, of your own self-worth, not understanding that so many of you are the lighthouse for the rest of humanity. What kind of a lighthouse are you? A lighthouse sits in dangerous places and shows light in the dark, and helps the navigators and the ship's captain to come into the safe harbors where there is no fear and there is no anxiety. The lighthouse we have taught you now for 36 years is the potential old soul, the ones watching this right now. Can you sit and feel safe? This is the invitation. I've put a bubble of love around each of you so that you don't have to find yourself with a fear that seems to stick with you or that keeps you awake at night or keeps you worrying. You are a magnificent being, a light in the darkness. When people see that you are not reacting the same way or not complaining around the water cooler, as they say, they may come to you quietly and say, "What have you got? I want it." And then you could say, "I feel good about where this planet is going in consciousness. Even though we're going through a tough time now, there is light coming. There are changes afoot. This is not going to be the way it is forever. In fact, we are indeed in some form of detox. And that will change." I would love to take you to a year from now, 2 years from now, where you can look back and you can say, "Wow, what a waste of time. All that energy that I put, all that worry that probably took years off my life. And now look, Kryon was right. You are right if you expect light. You are right if you understand you have a shield around you if you choose to engage it, where the tar won't stick and the fear won't stick and the anxiety won't. Take a deep breath and know of your magnificence. Wait for it." And so it is.
Kryon recently gave a channeling that talked about us wait for it, waiting for a Messiah or Messiahs to come back and save our.
Do you know that almost every belief system on the planet has this prophecy, that there will be a Messiah? It's not just Christianity. It's almost all of them have some kind of returning energy to the planet that indeed will save us all. And here's what Kryon said that you may not agree with. They're all here. This was part of the shift. They're all here and ready to help in whatever way your belief system or the one you used to have said would take place. Peace on earth, a higher consciousness, no more war. We are slowly reaching that point where humanity will stand up and say, we will not allow war anymore. We're not going to kill each other. The other thing that's scaring people is that if you know your Bible, you said that there is the story, and I got it very clearly in Sunday school, that the end of the world, you'll know it's here when there's a war in Israel. How does that make you feel?
I think there's been a war in Israel since I first went to Hebrew school and then Sunday school.
Yeah,
As a little kid.
And Kryon has called this the final war. He said this will make both sides not just come to the table, but they both will realize at a level of humanity, this is not what they want any longer. Now, this doesn't reflect their leadership. And that's where I've always gone with this, is that the leadership may say one thing, but the citizens are fed up, both sides. And they want something that will create the ability for them to live together. And there is no question that because of what they've been taught, both sides, they'll probably not like each other for a generation or two. But they can live together until someday they'll look at each other and say, what was this all about? That's the promise here. When I was in Israel at the Habima Theater, sitting alone on a stage with 1,000 people, Kryon said, color is coming to all of those Israelis, all those Israelis. And this is what they wanted to hear, but color is coming from a black and white consciousness. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. And so all of these things that are happening truly are the catalyst, I think, of something that is coming.
So can we say that the black and white that we're seeing, and I'm going to go to the talk of the day, authoritarianism, this march of darkness, and Kryon has talked about a battle of light versus dark, but it's not like this Star Wars thing. But is this black and white that appears to be coming actually this positive catalyst? Guys, you can't take me out of positivity no matter how you try. Not toxic positivity. We dot our I's and cross our T's. Look both ways before you cross the road. But that this darkness that appears to be coming is the catalyst, the accelerant that gets people to wake up, gets people to come together via the heart, not against anything, but for a new future, for a consciousness shift, for a new humanity.
Yes, you said it right, Michael. That is the point. It's hard for us to see this because it's tough to go through. Yeah, we're going to have a couple of these kinds of things, but it involves the masses of consciousness of people, and it's time to show everybody how humanity feels, not how a few feel, and not how a few then have taken us to different places we were wondering if we'd ever go there. There's a tendency for us to shake our heads and say, well, you know, they're them and we're us. Now we're starting to see something we need to do something about. And it's not to march in the streets and protest and become negative. That's an old style. It was Lynn McTaggart that showed what consciousness can do with groups of people who all get together with the same idea and start looking at it and say, oh, you have this idea too. Why don't we get together and show everybody this new idea? And the idea is compassion and kindness, and let's get rid of all of these things that are making us afraid. It's a new paradigm, you might say, of manifestation, the way we do things on the planet.
Well, then that gets to intent and belief. What does that have to do with, if we're going to use the term manifestation, what does our intention and our beliefs have to do with this entire shift?
I think that's been proven so many times now, not just by Lynn. There's a whole movie on consciousness that we had part of the, I think the full title of it, Monika, you know.
The One Field?
Yeah, The One Field it's on our site, and it is an entire movie on consciousness. The power of consciousness. Kryon has said for years, consciousness isn't some mamby-pamby thing that you look around and go, oh, high and low. It's energy. It is energy. Kryon said it is so powerful that someday it'll actually be measurable. It's part of physics. If you talk to Greg Braden, he talks about the Global Consciousness Project, Heart Math, all of these people who study consciousness and have seen that it can move mountains. It's the more people who are thinking the same thing, the more it is in the field and then manifests. So can you think your way to peace? If enough people are on board, yes. And this is something people have not really recognized, how powerful we are. One person with a high consciousness holding their light can then be so much powerful than 1,000 people in the dark. And that is basically, again, turn on the light and there's no more darkness. This sounds too simple, but this is where the planet is headed. We have to understand that how we think day by day makes an important change on the entire planet. Do you wake up afraid? Do you wake up expecting bad things to happen that day? Or do you put your feet on the floor and say, thank you, Spirit. Most benevolent outcomes for me today. Help me through this. Michael, you start your show in a very unique way. And that is, I don't know if that goes on the air or not. Well, it should.
which part is this?
The part where you say, let me make a difference. And you call upon the angels, And you call upon all of those that can, saying, let me show my light today and help anyone who's watching. I don't know if people have seen that.
No, I'll put that on. I'll put that on for this one. I never do. I always do that. It is both an intention setting and the secret behind the mojo behind this is we are all energy. We are all consciousness. We are all that same consciousness. When I do that out loud with my guests, what we do is sort of like heart math and heart coherence. We don't even have to think about it. We sync up. Now there's a power of 8 with Lynn. Of course, there is the power of the 3 of us. There is the power of consciousness that all comes together by doing that kind of sneaky thing I do deviously before the show.
Well, there's also what you mentioned, and we'll talk about it. There's evidence of this coherence between consciousness, measurable, very much that's what heart math is all about. We create a coherence with our friends, with our colleagues, with those around us, and they feel it and they know it. And this is what we teach. You can, and if enough people are doing this, you can have coherence between groups, and pretty soon the fear starts to go away, and you start understanding that what you're seeing and what you're doing, you're actually able to control it with the consciousness that is indeed energy. I'm glad you mentioned coherence, because this is a real thing, measurable, that we've been looking at for a very, very long time. And we can have this with humanity, can be in a kind of coherence. We'll get to the point where there are enough of these kinds of podcasts. We are seeing these over and over. We're seeing a lot of young people right now getting on board with the same thing that Inspire Nation has been doing for a very long time. And you are the model. And that is to show more and more people that we're out there, and that it's not media and it's not the news, and it is powerful. And the whole idea and the theme of so many of these shows is coherence. We can make a difference.
Thank you. It's everything that we teach in our School of Mystics is about shifting that energy. And I've got to ask, so I had my dad on the phone earlier today. Forgive me, everybody. We learn best with story. I had my dad on the phone earlier today. He's going through this experience. He's also been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. My mom has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He was headed downhill, if we want to call it that. He was shifting in consciousness, we'll say, faster than my mom. And then all of a sudden, she took a huge leap forward, meaning she raced towards short-term memory challenges. And he actually pulled back to support her. All of a sudden, his brain is coming more back online. You can look at an MRI or you're going, oh my gosh, how is he functioning? That's what the doctor said. And he's actually coming back more to the light, or to life. But he called me earlier today because mom's racing toward oblivion. And he was so frustrated and upset because he can see a brighter future possible because he's lit up. And she's driving toward the cliff. And he goes, and I said, well, we can shift your energy. And he goes, there are some things we can do and some things we can't. I have never seen that you can possibly shift your energy. That is not in my control. So while I played with him, of course, I would like to hear both of you on this, and specifically Monika getting out of the shower, getting to shift your energy. But if you can share, both of you, how we shift our energy at this time.
I think part of it is the energy of hope. Because if you're in that situation where I'm hearing from you, Michael, is that there is hope, that there are possibilities. Whenever we have hope that there are possibilities that may unfold, that's where the magic is. Because that's where there's room for allowance of things we don't know, of this or something better. But if we're in that place where we don't have hope, it is hopeless. You've already just limited yourself of any possibility, any solution that's outside of the limited thinking that we can have. There are so many miracles that happen on a daily basis. We have a weekly program. We call it Wednesdays with KRYON, and we make a point every time to share a miracle moment, because they happen, and they happen all the time. And it shows us what's possible for one is possible for another. Now, often when we have a diagnosis, there's fear that comes into it. And it's, you know, again, we've talked about fear mostly through the program and how we can drop into our heart, get into that coherence, lean into the support that is there for us. Once you are in touch with that angelic team, then you can open up to the possibilities. Show me what it is I don't know. There's many cases, and for yours in particular with Alzheimer's, there's beautiful research being done where music has been shown to have such a positive effect on those with Alzheimer's, where they will play a playlist of music that has an emotional connection for that individual. For example, I saw a documentary of a beautiful 90-year-old Alzheimer's patient who is just completely in her wheelchair, not engaged with anything. She used to be a ballerina. And when they put on headphones of her listening to Swan Lake, she immediately became alert and started doing the movements of her performance. And they were showing images in this documentary of her performing and her in the wheelchair, and she was doing the routine exactly perfect. And in that moment, she was alive. She was engaged. So there is always possibilities when we open up to the energy of expectation and hope beyond what our limited brain can conceive of.
Thank you. We are in such cahoots, shall we say, because I gave my dad 3 homework assignments. 1, go play the piano. 2, make a list of things that are going right, that you are thankful for right now in the moment. And 3, get a list of what you can envision is possible for the future, getting you back into that energy of hope. Let's go from you, Monika. Beautiful. Let's go to you, Lee.
It's very, very similar. Michael, I'd like to talk again. I give kudos to Greg Braden, my brother. I spent time with him just recently because he has such wonderful energy and stories. And he's a scientist, not a channeler, but I get to work with him. And one of the stories he tells is about the indigenous who really understood this. They're the ones to study in your mystery school, as you probably know this. And there was one time when he said he was either with one of them or was heard this from one of them. They went to pray for rain. There was a drought going on. And so it was the one shaman of the tribe, and he went there and he stood there. He went up on the hill. They all watched him, and he stood there for a moment. And then he was done, and he came back. And the stories, well, weren't you going to pray for rain? And he says, I don't pray for rain. He says, I visualized it already has happened. And the ground is wet and moist, and that's what I saw. And so what they do in their timeless way, when they get into that state of healing, meditation, prayer, or whatever, an indigenous is very aware of the now time and projects their mind to see it accomplished. And when they see it accomplished, it changes the chemistry of their body, of their fear, of all things. And then, of course, later it rains. So these are the kinds of things we are teaching people. That's mastery. You're starting to learn another way of things instead of sitting on the earth and praying for things and asking somebody else or a higher power to do something for you. You are actually taking your own power in your mind, in your consciousness, projecting, seeing it done, and this goes into the field. And if enough people do that, according to Lynn McTaggart, it happens. And that is the truth. We have so many people having proved this that I continue to say you have no idea of your power, of your mind, of your consciousness, and what it can do. It's not just staying positive. It's seeing things done, accomplished, over, and you feeling and having a toast that it's over. That's going to happen. I guarantee it.
Thank you. Can you plant a seed based on what Kryon has been teaching? And I realize that the details are none of our damn business, is what I hear when I channel. A seed for how good things can get on the other side of what I dare say we have signed up for.
I think it's going to come from a time when you have politics. I'm not going to talk about politics, but you have a situation where you have debates, and Kryon has talked about this. Watch for this, he said, is that younger people are coming online to run for office. These are the indigos, just like you, Michael. And those debates are going to look so different. When you start seeing this, this is a seed I want you to plant in your mind. When you have one debater showing up and they're the first one debate, let's say it's a presidential debate, let's just go all the way, and that debater and that candidate looks into the camera and says, I want to celebrate my partner here who I am debating today. So he's a wonderful American and he's done a lot of great things. I don't agree with the kind of things that will make the change, but I want you to understand that he's a good man and he's worthy of this being here. Now I'll tell you my ideas. And that is going to set a stage you've never seen, because in an old energy, what they want to do is dig up the dirt. They want to yell at each other. They want to be unkind to one another. And they want to tell you the other guy is a bad guy. So when you start seeing this scenario, people are going to react so strongly with this. They're going to go, this is the best thing we've ever seen. Let's see more of it. I want this guy. I want this guy. And people are going to react saying, this is what we want. And you're going to see more and more of that. So I want you to see in your mind, plant the seed of this kind of a debate, even in our own country, to set the stage of kindness and compassion, not fighting, not the polarization we have now that makes more sense, common sense. That is what Kryon even calls spiritual common sense, that we would see these kinds of things eventually. We will. I'll be here when it happens. I know I will. And I'll be the first one to stand up and say, see, it's here.
It's coming and coming fast then.
Yes. I'm going to put a slight different perspective on things, and I'll pull it back to something that happened that changed something that nobody saw coming. And I'm going to give it a backstory where I love watching things of history. So I'm living in the US now, and I get fascinated by what happened in this country and all the different things. So I was watching this really interesting kind of documentary on Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy Wars. And it's just really fascinating to me. But there was one part in that documentary where they talked about the Wyatt boys getting shot, and they had a doctor, and he was a very advanced doctor who actually washed his hands before performing the operation. Now, this is a very important detail because most people died of infection from germs that otherwise could have been saved from those procedures. So that's the issue here, germs. And the person that first discovered germs was laughed at and ridiculed that it's invisible, it doesn't exist, therefore we don't believe you, and we're going to continue our practice. Now the idea of anyone doing any kind of surgery without sterilization and all the very important things to keep away germs, we look at that as such simplistic ways of doing things. This was dramatic. And so I'm using this real life example so that you can see we look back now and go, wow, how quaint, we didn't believe in germs, but now we know better. And this next frontier that we're facing really is consciousness and energy. And just like germs, they're unseen energies. And yet we can measure and witness the results and impact of consciousness and measuring that. Lee's already mentioned the work of Lynn McTaggart. She is constantly doing experiments using consciousness and intent and having measured results. If you look at anyone in this field that we're discussing, they're all able to give examples of how our consciousness is energy and it can change physics and influence physics. And what I get really excited about is that KRYON has given us information previously, which I think we've discussed on Michael's shows before. We actually have 24 chromosome pairs within our body. 23 are visible and identifiable. The 24th pair is our interstellar pair from the stars. It is multidimensional, and there will come a time where there will be an instrument that can see it, and it will change and revolutionize life. There will be an after and a before. But here's the point of that beautiful 24th chromosome pair that's inside of it. It's that spiritual component, and it is taking us to that ascension pathway. We have, think of it like an antenna inside, and it is being tickled and awakened and looking for a signal. And the signal is connecting with that divine part of you that is the master inside, that is just waiting to explode into enlightenment on the planet. What's that going to do when every human on the planet has the antennas of the 24th chromosome pair in their body finally hook up and make that connection to the divine aspect that's already within, which again is why we say humanity is ascending. It's an inside job, and you're all involved.
Woohoo! I like that you used the word exploding, because that's what it feels like today.
Just say it before, Michael, I want to thank you for hosting this kind of a show. It is something that is so needed for this planet, and you're just so on target with that.
Thank you. Thank you. And for the work you're both doing. It is, and have been doing for quite some time, I might add. Back when, well, I guess today people are still saying, I still don't know when we're going, wait for it. But when you were introducing this, the better part of, I've got to do my math here, since 1989 or thereabouts, people are thinking, well, that's to quote him, Adam Sandler, insane.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom for either of you before we wrap this beautiful show up?
I think we've wisdom everybody out. But what I'd like to say is, can I give a commercial?
Oh, geez. Where can people go, Lee, to find out more and to find your beautiful work and tell us all about it? Are you kidding me?
You go, CRYONMasters.com will tell you everything. But we are going to be in Sedona, Arizona in the first part of June. Now, I don't know when this program is airing, but if it airs before that, and I hope it does, this is our flagship event. It is spectacular. We're going to have some guests there and our team like never before. It's going to be one of the biggest, I would say, energetic meetings we've ever had. So we invite people to take a look. CRYONMasters.com, you'll find it.
And my final words is, whatever your situation is, whatever you think you can't face, just know there is always hope. Always. I guarantee 100%. And there's always possibilities.
Yeah. When
you realize hope is an active energy. It's not wishful thinking. You have magic in your life. Now go get it.
Yeah.
Woohoo! You hearing that, Dad? Can you imagine the future? Can you see this beautiful new home? Can you see yourself doing woodworking and playing with others and making friends and having fun and this new stage in light? And this is for all of us. We can see it already realized. The rain has fallen. The ground is already wet. So thank you both so much. I'm touched. I'm about to cry now. Thank you both so much For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and realize that ground isn't just wet, but you are smiling to the heavens and beyond, and above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? That was fun. How does it get any better than this? And yes, on that note, if you want to bring your energy up, forgive me, why not? We're having fun. If you want to bring your energy up each and every day and feel this good and feel even better, and you want something free, come on over to dailywoohoo.com, dailywoohoo.com. I send you a newsletter each and every day. All the comments I've gotten, how special they are, how much they touch people's lives, how much they change your energy. It's free, dailywoohoo.com. And if you want to live at this higher level, that Kryon, that Lee, that Monika we're talking about, come join us 4 Wednesdays each month, live and recorded, whichever works best for you. School of Mystics, where we help bring your energy up. We help ground you, help you center you, get you into a state of hope, help you with everything on this journey from a higher plane. Clearings, attunements, group intention, limbic Taggart style meditations, and much, much more. That's at the link down below for the School of Mystics. And last, if you want to learn how to channel, to be able to speak with your loved ones, your angels, your guides, mystics, masters on the other side of the veil, even connect with the higher self of people on this side of the veil, simply click that link below, automaticwriting.com, live class each and every month, but also a video-based program so you can begin channeling tomorrow morning as well. How does it get any better than this? It's automaticwriting.com. Here's a link to the next amazing show. Love you so, so much, and keep on shining bright. Woohoo! I send you all the love in the world. You are amazing, and you are a master. Woohoo! Lots of love.